collaborate with NATO on Greenland's security. He has said that the partnership would be a joint effort, stressing that NATO's involvement was the right approach. Trump says that more details would be shared in the coming weeks. In a separate statement later, Trump also revealed that the US had secured total and permanent access to Greenland through a deal with NATO. The deal comes amid rising concerns over Arctic security, particularly with threats from Russia and China. The news followed Trump's reversal on tariff threats against Europe and his decision to rule out taking Greenland by force.
We're all going to work together, and actually NATO is going to be involved with us. We're going to be doing it in conjunction, parts of it in conjunction with NATO, which is really the way it should be. Well, the U.S. won't have any expense because we're not going to have expense. Other than building the Golden Dome, we're going to build the Golden Dome. And we'll have participation in that also. The cost of the Golden Dome, we'll have participation in that also, meaning with the expense of it.
Meanwhile, French officials have confirmed that they have no details on the deal reached between Trump and NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. France's Foreign Minister Jean-Noel Barrot has said the country was still awaiting more information. Request Peter Baum to join us back into the discussion here. Peter, like France, we are also waiting what this deal that Trump really is talking about is. How has he already gotten full access to Greenland just after a conversation with the NATO secretary?
Yeah, the details are very sketchy. I think I was on your channel about 5 days ago, and the analogy I used was that Trump's way of diplomacy is to get a hand grenade, throw it into the arena, and see where it lands. We had the issue of tariffs that came and went. We had the issue of would there be a military invasion, and the press and the global media were getting very into demonizing Trump as normal. Now it seems that 5 days down the road, tariffs are now off the table. Yeah. There was obviously huge volatility in the financial markets whilst he said he was going to impose tariffs, and then 48 hours later the financial markets closed down again. And then we now have the fact that Trump has said that there will be no troops on the ground in Greenland, and there seems to be some kind of compromise which suits both parties. And it's interesting that both parties, both NATO, excluding Trump, and the Trump administration are claiming wins on this. So clearly his way of doing diplomacy is not consistent with the norm, but nevertheless it gets results achieved. Now, France is awaiting details, as probably are all the United Nations, and I think Trump himself said that there is a framework has been worked out which will satisfy both parties. So if that's the case, irrespective that we haven't received the full details, if that's the case, then I think that Trump's unique form of diplomacy has again paid dividends. NATO have come to the diplomatic table, Trump has shaken them up, and it looks like, assuming that the details of the agreement are satisfactory to the Nordic countries, to France, the UK and Germany, and to the Trump administration, it looks like Trump has achieved its objective.
But how do you see the fact that even though Trump may have withdrawn his tariff threat, the European Union has not said much about the freeze on the US-Europe trade deal?
Yeah, so this again will be certainly worked out in the days and weeks ahead, and let me explain why. Trump has the midterm elections coming up very shortly, and the one thing that he's going to be voted in on, or his approval ratings will go up or down, not on the NATO deal, not on what he does in Iran, not what he does with the Board of Peace, but simply domestically with the US economy. And he realizes that having good economic ties with his allies is going to be a boost for the US economy. There is no doubt about that. So I suspect that in the days to come, any differences that there are between Trump and the European Union, for example, and Trump and his allies in China vis-a-vis trade are going to be worked out prior to the midterm elections in the months ahead.
All right. But anyway, do you think that the tariffs that he has imposed so far have been able to address the trade imbalance which he had cited to impose these tariffs in the first place?
Well, we won't know that for about 3 to 6 months down the road at least, because it takes a while for the economic data to come through from the beginning when tariffs were first imposed. And don't forget, he's chopped and changed on tariffs and in terms of percentages, the countries affected, etc. So economically, we won't know how good or bad the US economy is faring from a net perspective until, I would suggest, at least 3 months down the road, but more likely 6 months down the road. Only then will the statistics come through that will give an insight as to how good the tariff impositions have been to impact the US economy.
Sure, Peter Baum, thank you very much then for speaking to us here at NewsX World. And now moving ahead, viewers, US President Donald Trump announced plans also